Can anybody else do that with their forehead? Look, watch, look. Okay. Um, I'm just sitting here. Just got done watching a really good movie. Uh, Goodfellas. That's it. Goodfellas. Come on. Came out in 1990. How better could it get? That's the year I was born. Uh, Martin Scorsese directed it. Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, and Ray Liotta's wife was Lorraine. I'm not gonna try to say her last name. You know I'm bad with names. If you've been watching my videos up to now, you know I'm bad with names. You know I'm bad with a lot of things, but names especially. But anyway, saw this movie a gazillion times before, but the treat here, this is a version I've never seen before. I think I've mentioned this in other reaction videos or reviews or whatever. Um, with the way technology is, if you look up a movie and it just whatever, in this case, I was able to watch it on Netflix. But the version they had on Netflix, I mean, they put in extra scenes and all the cuss words used, N word this, N word that, uh, sex scenes and fellatio and drugs and just a lot more vulgar than I remember. A lot more vulgar than I remember actually. The version I was watching on TV was, dare I say, more uh, reserved, if that's even possible for a movie like this. But anyway, it follows Ray Liotta's character from when he was a young pup. There's a saying in the street when he decided to jump off the porch and be outside for real. um, he's always friends with Joe Pesci's in this movie too. I mean, these are all classic names, not alone classic names as far as mob movies are concerned, but just classic actors. I mean, world class talent in every corner, in every corner of involvement in this dang film. I mean, so it follows him from his humble beginnings in the mob all the way to his downfall. Now, I want to say overall, it was all his own doing. Ray Liotta's character, I'm trying to think when he really started to go downhill. Well, he went to prison. He got pinched for whatever it was. He got pinched for doing a hit, I think. No, he got pinched for uh, uh, doing some trying to collect a debt from some loan sharking. He got pinched for that. He did like 4 years in jail, if I'm not mistaken. They get a 10-year sentence or something like that. I'm trying to remember all these numbers, but I think that was his downfall. I mean, now, but the way he described it, prison wasn't bad at all for them. I mean, it seemed really good. But okay, that was the beginning of the end. I feel like, but it wasn't his downfall. His downfall was his inability to control his lust, and also his friend was a hothead. Joe Pesci's character was a hothead. I mean, he was just killing people left and right. Killed a made man. He did this. He did that. Come on, Joe. And I'm not even going to try and cover all the classic lines that or classic quotes that come from this movie. It's like, what? Why am I funny? What makes me funny to you? Do you think I'm a clown? I'm not, I can't. I can't even quote all of them. There's that and then cigarette. I mean, come on. Just, just thing. This is quote after quote. I wasn't gonna ask a silly rhetorical question, but whatever. It was about violence and why people are so attracted to it. But that's whatever. So I like to say it's. I can't remember what. I can't remember if they said the year, or if they put the year on screen when it started. But from the cars, looked like it had to have been late 50s, and it wound up going all the way through the 80s. I feel like, so they missed. So it started during the Cold War, right after Korea. If you don't know, I pretty much do everything as a timeline based off military conflicts. So after the Korean War and the Cold War, then they passed right over the Vietnam conflict. Of course, they didn't have to serve in that. Trying to think, in the 80s, this is probably something in Grenada. It was 89, I think. There's some smaller. Oh yeah, and then there was like a bunch of stuff. That's eventually what it really was his downfall. He got into the harder drugs, the cocaine, the what is it? The Colombian sugar. Nah, I shouldn't use that phrase. Uh, ah, the devil's baby powder. That sounds pretty good, right? You start getting into that. Seemed like it was going smooth, but of course he was tooting up his nose and he was messing with like three. He had his wife and two mistresses. Come on, dude, you just getting sloppy, along with along with just not having everything tight and buttoned up. And then they pulled off one of the biggest heists ever, something like $6 million in cash or something like that. And the dude who didn't even orchestrate everything got greedy and started killing everybody off. But they actually didn't even get caught for that. The reason that everybody wound up, I know I skipped a lot. The reason everybody got wound up getting caught is a dude flipped. He was doing coke, uh, uh, which goes hand in hand with paranoia. So he feels like he's gonna get killed by these guys, which it was a possibility that he could have been killed for the information that he had. You know what I mean? But because he basically had been ostracized from uh, that particular family for him dealing in drugs in the first place, and he got caught with them, and there was so much evidence. They had been watching him, and he had stolen guns, he had cocaine, he had this, he had that, he had so many charges. He was going away forever. He had no more money, and on top of all that, he was a bad drug dealer because he didn't have no money saved up. You doing bad. I'm telling you right now, you're doing bad. If you're selling drugs and all your money's tied up in the next load or the next batch of stuff, you're doing bad. It's not supposed to work like that. At the smaller level, it works like that. You get your little money or you get it on consignment and you flip it. You save a little bit. You put enough back in to get some more, and you do it over and over again. It's almost like I want to say it's almost like dividend. It's almost like buying dividend stocks. What I just figured out today, pretty similar. You put a certain amount down and you get a certain amount back, just like that, and you keep doing it. Well, it's not revolving though, so I guess it's not like dividend stocks. I'll figure it out one day. So, what else happened in this movie? This is probably gonna be a really bad reaction to it because I've seen it so many times. It's hard for me to even break it down. So, starts off young, starts committing crime. He gets his first interaction with the police. No big deal. They start showing that brotherhood and family type stuff going on. Then they fast forwards and then they're older. Shows how he meets his wife and their little courting and stuff like that. How he really wasn't interested in her, and then she started uh, showing how tough she was, I guess, and that caught his attention. Then the next thing you know, they're in love and they're getting married. She's supposedly Jewish, and he was, was he half Italian or something? Half Italian Irish, something like that. I forget. Um, what else happened in there? It showed the lifestyle they had. He broke down all of the streams of revenue that they were getting from the things that they were stealing, and how tied in the mob was to like legal things such as Teamsters and oh man, the port, the airport, just everything. Literally for these guys, the streets were filled with gold. Literally for these guys, but they also showed how dysfunctional all these characters were. So you had one guy who was a hothead, one guy who really couldn't control his lust, and then you had the other guy who was just plumb crazy. I mean, they were killing left and right. I mean, killing, stealing, just doing everything. Crazy existence if you think about it. But I know this is probably everywhere, but I've seen it so many times. The movie is just fantastic. I mean, their use of music inside there was just enough. But the thing about it is, every piece of music they used for this fit the scene that they had it in. It just wasn't like filler music or music to create noise. It was like, okay, they might necessarily not be singing about what's going on in that scene, but the tempo and the sound of that particular track fits that scene, which is so important in movie making. And the narration, oh my god, can you believe that? The narration from the main character, I think everybody has probably copied that at one point. I'm just guessing there. I mean, it's done so well. I'm trying to find flaws in this particular movie. I mean, I've seen it, and this version right here actually made it even more gritty. And this one, like I said at the beginning, this one left in all the cuss words and vulgar acts and things of that nature. So it just it elevated it even more to in my mind. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, this cements itself as one of the best gangster movies like ever made. It's on that top 10 list for sure. I mean, you can't get no better than this. It has everything. It has the ups, the downs. You're following these people in an emotional roller coaster. I mean, I've watched this movie I don't know how many times, but I'm still on the edge of my seat for some portions of it because the acting and the screen and the setting is so well done. I'm immersed in this thing. You know what I mean? So let me try and finish. He gets pinched by the cops for the first time. I know I'm all over the place, but just bear with me. So he gets pinched by the cops for the first time. Comes in and fast forwards to when they're older, meets his wife. All the while they're explaining these major points in his life, him and his buddies are committing crimes and they're doing pretty good. They're getting a lot of money. I mean, they didn't need to do anything after that big heist, but like I said, the guy got kind of greedy and took everything. Before that, they were still getting money from other directions, and this was all after he got out of prison for the 4 years for tuning that guy up for the money they owed him. Um, and when he gets back, things change. Well, when he get to jail, he goes to jail. He gets back. Um, he was dealing in drugs while he was inside the prison, and he saw how lucrative it was. So when he gets out, he's like, no brainer, get right into it. But of course, the head of that particular family was like, bro, it's like we ain't touching that stuff. We ain't doing it. Sure, no problem. We ain't doing it at all. You got my word. But of course, he gets into it, and he starts getting more money. Brings his friends into it, so they're getting even more money now. So I mean, life is good for him, but like I said, his downfall was his lust, and of course, he was just bad at business. You don't you don't take everything you have. You shouldn't be constantly recycling the money you get from the sales and putting it back into more product. It doesn't work that way. What is that? Come on, how are you? That's just bad business. That was his downfall. He didn't have no money for the lawyer when he got pinched, and he was doing it himself. So that's another thing that was his downfall. So guess what he winds up doing? Just guess. He winds up turning into a rat. Believe it or not. Tells everything. I mean, he tells about stuff that wasn't even involved with him. Everybody goes. Some of those guys died in prison. He's in a witness protection program too, believe it or not. And he winds up getting a divorce from his wife. Man, she was solid too. She was holding him down. She wanted to kill him when she found out that he's got his mistress like right around the corner from his house. That's his downfall. He's sloppy, man. Sloppy dude. I know this is a all over the place review, but I've watched this movie so many times. I just feel like people have watched it before. But it is a good movie.